What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Stick with me. I've got my phone in the right hand, I've got my iPad in the left hand. All right, let's do this. Let's have some fun. The H2 does not have a blind spot detection system. However, I have read online that there are third-party systems out there that you can install if that feature is extremely important to you. We do have steering. Oh, hold on, let me make an adjustment. Here we go. I'm back. The H2 does have steering wheel controls for the hands-free driving experience. Comes in really handy, works out extremely well. In the rear of the vehicle, we do have the heated rear mirror. And let me tell you guys, it works. Haven't had any issues with it, works extremely well. On the passenger side of the vehicle, we do have that airbag up front with the on-off feature. For those of you that are in Canada, your logo is going to look slightly different. With the H2, the key fob, we have remote keyless entry, unlock, lock your vehicle right from the key fob. At nighttime, let me tell you guys, unlocking the vehicle at nighttime, it's quite the show, especially with modern day LEDs. It's a sight to be seen. It's very cool. The 08 and 09 actually have remote start built into the key fob. I actually saw one guy do it in person. It was pretty cool. I just never had the opportunity to do it myself, so very cool. I have seen some guys online install push to start buttons within their H2. So again, there's the customization option. If you want that option, go ahead and install a push to start button. On the actual dashboard, there's a lot of really unique features within the DIC. That's the driver information control system. For example, you could set your H2 up that when you place the gear shifter into reverse, the mirrors on the H2, you can set it up if you want it to be the driver or passenger or both or none. They will automatically tilt to help you back up the vehicle. I actually have one of the features I like a lot is the locking feature. I believe it kicks in when you're like at 5 miles per hour. So my rear door actuators, they normally wouldn't work. However, they would work when I turned that on in the driver information control. Since then, I've replaced the rear door actuators and everything works. So if you run into that issue, now you know what to do. The H2 child locks, you have them in the rear of the vehicle for the rear doors. All right, if you got some wild little kids, again, there you go. And for the windows, you do have the child locks on the driver door. Express window down feature. All right, right here, guys, you don't have to hold the button down. You just press it one time. For the driver and for the passenger, the window comes all the way down. If you want to raise all the windows up, again, that feature is on the driver's side of the vehicle. And then there's the global window down feature. Press one button, all the windows go down. It's awesome. They just fly down. It's very, very cool. You do have automatic dimming mirror. All right. Fahrenheit and Celsius. I know there's some people in Europe. All right. So up there you can definitely change how you read the temperature. All right. A really underrated, and you don't hear anybody talking about it because the people talking about the H2 have never owned the H2. Right up there. Okay. Let me try to get a better angle. There we go. Okay. That's HomeLink. So what you can do is you can hook up devices such as gates, garage door openers, entry door locks, security system, home lighting. Press those buttons up top, your garage door opens. Customization, again, there's so many options out there. I've actually started a couple of videos on my channel. One as of now, it's getting hot out here, boys and girls. It's really humid. It's beating me up. Anyway, when it comes to customization options, you can have a lot of fun with your H2. I've literally made a video on it, and I'm actually planning on making another video, so you can check out those vids. You can have a lot of fun making the H2 your H2. Something, when you start working on the Hummer H2, is the hood. How this hood flies open, okay? comes vertical. You know, that's a tribute to the American Humvee. It's funny, there's people out there who say, I'm working on my vehicle. Let me tell you, when you buy an H2, all right, you don't work on your H2. You work in your H2. You got to get a ladder to climb up into the H2. It just, you know, it makes the vehicle feel larger than you, larger than life, because it's just such a beast. And you're like, wow, this vehicle's massive. You know, you're actually literally in the engine bay sitting. It's not like, you know, you're working on a small SUV and you've got the hood up and you're leaning in, you know, so it just takes things to another level. Let me tell you guys, the gear shifter, I haven't seen any other vehicles like that with that aircraft gear shifter. It's really, really cool. You know, that fighter jet gear shifter. It just, you know, when you turn on the vehicle and you make that transition from park to drive, maybe you're off-road and you're going down to one, it's awesome. All right, it's very, very cool. It's a good feeling. That 6-disc, or I should say the 6-disc CD player that I have in the center console. All right, now I told you guys in a prior video how I just love not having a screen in the vehicle, and I actually prefer the discs. There's a lot of really interesting features that are built into that 6-disc changer. For example, one of my favorites is you can actually build a playlist. You know, back in the day, you know, you got your iPod, you make a playlist. Well, you've got six discs. You can select, you know, songs from disc 1, disc 2, disc 3, all the way to 6. Make your own custom playlists. There's a lot of like search options on it, on the H2, this player as well, where you can change the band to get a higher or a better frequency. So really, when you get your H2, take some time and, you know, read the owner's manual when it comes to the actual player. There's a lot of options. I actually went through the owner's manual a couple nights ago. I was like, wow, I don't remember this much information being in there. Okay, inside here, it's funny, when you feel down there, you'll feel these like square inserts. And I remember to myself, I'm like, what's this for? Why are there rivets at the bottom of the, you know, center console? And then it hit me what they are. What they are is they're for holding CDs inside the center console. So it's interesting. It's almost like a non-existent feature on modern day vehicles. Just, you know, no one's gonna have a CD player or the ability to hold CDs. When it comes to the side pockets on the H2, all right, the doors, again, the modern doors, I like modern doors with like the netting on the Jeeps. It just gives it a more outdoor, rugged, adventurous feel. But the doors overall, they hold up well. They're extremely comfortable while driving, putting your arm here or up here. When it comes to these pockets, you do have a ton of room. You know, put maps down here. I actually have seen some guys, this goes back to customization, where, you know, you can remove this and people just, you know, have printed off pieces that place in here just to give the door a flush look. So again, customization options. Now, I don't have a moonroof on my H2. However, going through the owner's manual, I came across 4 options: comfort open, full open, express close, and vent. So there's quite a few options to set up your moonroof. I'd love to hear some feedback from owners. I've never seen actually anyone talk about the Hummer H2's moonroof options. So if you are an owner out there and you have a moonroof, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear about your feedback. There we go. Something really cool, really fun feature that, again, nobody ever talks about because the people talking about the H2 on YouTube have never owned the vehicle, is memory seat. Okay, you'd be surprised how, let me tell you guys about the feature. So what it is, okay, I drive the vehicle, okay? There's two options, option 1, option 2. I'm option 1. For option 1, you can set up the mirrors, okay? Option 1, the mirrors will be saved to my preference. The seat, okay, will be set up to my preference. All right, so now you're married. You'd be surprised how often this happens, that owners of the H2, they'll say, wow, my wife, she doesn't drive her Escalade anymore. She prefers the Hummer, and I don't get to drive it anymore. So if you find yourself in that situation, what you can do is you set your wife up for option 2. So your wife jumps in the vehicle, she presses option 2 on the driver's side of the vehicle. The mirrors will automatically shift to your wife's preference, and the seat will automatically change to your wife's seating position. So when you get inside the vehicle, you're not having to adjust the mirrors, adjust the seat. Everything's already saved for you. It's a really nice feature. Another really nice feature is it's called Easy Exit Seat. You set the seat up so when you get out of the vehicle, let's say you're more forward and you want the seat to come back, you shut off your H2, the seat will automatically come back to your preference. So again, if you're someone who struggles to get out of the vehicle, it can give you a nice little boost or put you in an easier spot to get out of the vehicle. Cruise control, H2 has it. All right, it works. Yeah, I want to talk about this, guys. For all my gun fans out there, a really nice option, all right, is within the center console. It really is a great spot for a gun. You can fit a small, probably actually like a 9mm. You might be able to actually fit something like a 45 in there. I've seen people do some customization options. Again, it's just a beautiful spot to put a handgun. I believe I have talked about this before, but in the 0809, you can have captain chairs in the rear of the H2. In the 0809, there is the option for two rear seats, so you could go from, I can put a seat back here on mine, so I would technically be 6. So the 0809 or 7. All right. Towards the end of the H2's run, actually, the H2 did have a heated steering wheel. I believe it was only in one model, but you could see, and they only made I think 6 of them. It was the black chrome edition. So you get an idea where the H2 was headed. All right. Still had all the modern day features that aren't even in vehicles today. It's getting hot out here, boys and girls. Very humid. Gotta take a second to... Okay, here we go. The DVD players, all right. Some of the 08 and 09s, they have like these massive DVD players that come down. So, if you want to play Halo 2 in the back seat, hook up an Xbox or a PS2. There's an option. Play some Grand Theft Auto, or have the kids, play Grand Theft Auto, and while you're going on a road trip, there you go. You do have the tow connection in the back of the H2. I actually just installed a new boiler exhaust. So there is the tow hitch connection. Very nice. I have read online that the H2, the winch capability is up to 9,000 pounds. I've never used the winch, guys. I truly don't know if that's a really good rating. So again, if somebody's out there who can talk about the winch rating, please let me know. One of the features on the H2 that for me it's really convenient is actually putting the rear seats down. All you do is you pull that tab forward, the seat comes forward, and then you can just pull down. I've been in vehicles where it's like a real pain to get the rear seats down. I just want to pull them down and the rear seats will not come down. The H2 doesn't really have a crazy electrical system. Because the vehicle, here's some shade, I like it. Because the H2 doesn't have a crazy electrical system, you'd be surprised how many vehicles, especially modern day vehicles, they're in the shop just because there's like literally miles of wiring inside the vehicle. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Okay, what else do I have for you guys? We're coming to the end of the video. Hang tight. All right, for adults that are smaller, okay, we have small children, this is what this is for. All right, that's what this piece right here is for. It just makes the seatbelt easier to get on for children and or small adults. There's actually a lot of storage in the H2 underneath. All right, you can place a lot of storage back underneath these seats, and again, I don't hear anybody talking about that because people who make videos on this, it just fires me up when people talk about the H2, but they've never owned it or driven it. Clown world. Okay. All right, here we go. We're at the final part of the video, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Truthfully, I don't like to use numbers on a scale because it can detract from a vehicle. I don't like doing ratings on a vehicle, but because the H2 just is such a home run, we're going to use some numbers. When it comes to styling, all right, when it comes to the Hummer H2, the styling, it truly is like nothing else. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 10 out of 10, all right? That's what we have in front of us right now. It's an absolute home run. Truly is like nothing else. In all likelihood, there'll never be anything like this ever made, ever again. Absolutely incredible. What a beautiful piece of artwork this vehicle is. That's what it is. It's art. It's beautiful. It's creative. Incredible. Safety, all right? Let me tell you guys, there's a lot of safety talks out there on vehicles today. I'll tell you my safety standards. When the person gets in an accident, do they live or do they die? When people get in wrecks in these H2s, let me tell you, they live. I've actually come across quite a few stories online where paramedics, police officers, firemen, they say, "Oh my God, we can't believe you're alive. Anybody else or any other vehicle would have been dead." So that alone, those stories that story that I've just said, there's multiple stories out there just like that. I've actually come across stories where cars will hit the H2. The vehicle will be totaled, okay? The other vehicle's totaled. Like one guy got in the rear end. Some guy hit him in the rear. There was no scratch on the H2. The other vehicle was absolutely totaled. The police officer, he comes over and he says, "You were in a car wreck? Where's the damage?" So, again, safety, 10 out of 10. Styling, 10 out of 10. Safety, 10 out of 10. Customization options. There's a ton of options out there for the H2. 10 out of 10. If you want to make a Resident Evil H2, go for it. Fun factor, 10 out of 10. If there's one vehicle out there that you want to take on a road trip or you want to have a lot of fun, let me tell you guys, this is it. 10 out of 10. Reliability. Once you get these vehicles up to speed, again, there's some catch-up maintenance. You get that completed, 10 out of 10. The vehicle is more or less bulletproof. Comfort. I've talked about this. I've had many people get in my vehicle, Jeep owners, other owners, Bronco owners, Mitsubishi owners, and they all say to me, "Wow, this is the most comfortable vehicle I've ever been in my entire life. It's a lot more comfortable than my vehicle." They say it almost instantly. All right, off-roading, 10 out of 10. If you're looking for a beast that you want to take off-road, let me tell you guys, you have found it. Taking the H2 off-road, absolutely incredible. I've actually come across recently a story. Dude was in the Army. He says, "I had an H2 while I was in the Army. We used to take it out with us when we took out the Humvees, whatever, for training." All right. He said the H2 kept up the whole time. He said everybody actually preferred to drive and wanted to drive, the Hummer H2 over the Humvees. So again, that story alone proves just how incredible this vehicle is. And the final, and to me, one of the most important option to me is that it's American made. 10 out of 10, baby. There's nothing that screams America more than the Hummer H2. I can't wait to see you on the road.